I apologize if I look especially oiled up today, if I look pretty greasy, and that's because I just got out of the shower from a pretty long arm day. And you know what I was thinking in the gym as my testosterone was increasing and my IQ was decreasing in like a sort of parallel sort of math equation. I was thinking about one thing, and I was also thinking about this same thing in the shower. I'll give you a second to guess what that thing is. You are absolutely right. I was thinking about video games and specifically a lot of drama that has been stirring up in the world of social media and video games. And when those two things mix, they usually come up with something terrible. And in this case, it's not too bad. But what we have here is the Game of the Year award nominations. We have some drama, and I want to go over it because there's some stuff that people are confused about. There's some stuff that people are just not familiar with that they're trying to say that they're familiar with. So I'm going to clear up the air as best as I can and talk about what's going on. As we all know, Elden Ring is one of, if not the most popular Souls-like game ever to grace this earth. And as someone who has played through Elden Ring multiple times, it is an absolutely incredible game. Thus, it won Game of the Year 2 years ago in 2022. And I would say it's not my personal favorite Dark Souls game. I think the best, or not Dark Souls game, but Souls-like. I think the best Souls-like game, definitely From Software game, Dark Souls 3. I love From Software and everything they do, but Dark Souls 3 just blows everything out of the water, including the entirety of the Armored Core series. And I love Armored Core. I think Armored Core is amazing. And I also think Elden Ring is definitely one of the best games I've ever played, but nothing beats Dark Souls 3. But anyways, Elden Ring 2 years ago got elected as the winner for the Game of the Year 2022 awards, and rightfully so. The second it got released, it blew records out of the water like a bomb. It just destroyed all records, and it was an incredible game. It absolutely deserves all the hype it gets and more because From Software really just went above and beyond when making Elden Ring, and it was absolutely incredible. But that's not where the drama is. So earlier this year, a DLC for Elden Ring dropped, and it was called Shadow of the Erdtree. And people think that this DLC is so good, and I do agree, it is an extremely good DLC, but the drama comes from the fact that the DLC is getting nominated for Game of the Year 2024. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. I don't think we've seen a game that's been so good to already win Game of the Year once, but then to have its counterpart DLC to get nominated and potentially win Game of the Year for the second time, because it has a pretty solid running chance to win. I'm not going to spend your time talking about how I think it should win or how I think it shouldn't win. I believe it is one of the best DLCs a game has ever seen. Right? It introduced everything I wanted it to introduce and more. It was just absolutely incredible. The story is incredible. It was a very good DLC. It lived up to the hype as most From Software games do. But before I dig a little bit deeper, let's go over the individual nominees for the 2024 Game of the Year award. First off, we have Astrobot from Sony. Then we have Metaphor ReFantazio from Sega. And then we have Black Myth Wukong from Game Science, which I personally love. Black Myth Wukong, another absolutely incredible game that I think also deserves to win Game of the Year. I think a little bit above Shadow of the Erdtree, but let's keep going. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth from Square Enix, and of course Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree from Software, and Balatro from Local Thunk. Now, Balatro is an incredible game. Let me just say that. A big portion of the drama is coming from the fact that Balatro was selected to be a nominee for Game of the Year 2024. And if you don't know what Balatro is, I'm honestly not too surprised. I mean, it kind of flew under the radar for quite some time until all this drama sparked up. And then I finally got to try it out. I got to look at some videos, and it is really fun. It is a pixel art deck builder roguelike, and it's the closest game I can compare it to is Slay the Spire. I love Slay the Spire. I'm a massive fan of deck builder roguelikes where you have to meticulously design your deck and you have to just take your time essentially doing things and making sure you have enough health for the next round, going to shops and all that stuff. So it's a very good game, but I'm not gonna lie, I think Slay the Spire is a much better game. And if I remember correctly, Slay the Spire wasn't nominated for any sort of game awards. And I'm not gonna say if I'm team Balatro or if I'm team anti-Balatro, but I partially understand a lot of the drama coming around why this game was nominated, because there are so many other games. Like there's a one game that Penguin Zero, one of my favorite YouTubers, was talking about called Nine Souls, and it is an incredible smaller indie developed game that I would recommend you go check out right now because it's very fun, and that should have at least won something. But as you watch the Game Awards live stream, you'll notice that it hasn't won anything. So we have our nominees, and as you can see, there's a couple pieces of a little bit of sparky topics there, some that can spark controversy and whatnot, and for absolutely good reason. Because, you know, first of all, Balatro, I didn't really think it's deserving of Game of the Year, and also a DLC for a game that's already won Game of the Year, that's kind of whack. And also, if you're like me and you grew up an Xbox kid, you know, like shout out to my brothers, you might be wondering what Astrobot is. I also don't think Astrobot deserves Game of the Year. I'm just going to say it right now. Astrobot is a cutesy little PlayStation developed game where it references a lot of PlayStation's biggest hits. You know, you have Bloodborne, you have all those different things, and I never played it, right? Because I'm a Xbox fanboy. Also, to all the PlayStation fans, I'm just kidding, but still, I'm an Xbox kid through and through, and I never got to try Astrobot, so I honestly have no opinion. I also didn't get to try Metaphor ReFantazio. I have no idea what that game is. Another pretty obscure one. But again, looking back last year, or not last year, but looking back at the year that's passed of 2024, we haven't really gotten many good games to drop. I mean, of course, we've had Black Myth Wukong and Shadow of the Erdtree and Balatro, but the rest of the nominees are kind of just whack. Okay, they're not whack. I just personally don't like them. And I know I said I wasn't going to get into what I personally think about this, but you know how I am. I like to talk. And if we're going to get real personal, I do personally believe that Black Myth Wukong has this one in the bag. I have played Black Myth Wukong. I've beaten it. It is an absolutely incredible game. Very fluid mechanics, very fluid combat. The story is really, really good. The graphics are stunning, and it really helps the fact that I have a 4070 Super computer, yeah, with the graphics card in there. She's a pretty girl, big beast, but great game, right? I love the Souls-like, it's kind of a Souls-like, but I love the controller playstyle, story-driven games, and it was just an archetype of game that I fell in love with, and I think it personally deserves Game of the Year over the DLC, because the DLC was good, but Elden Ring already won, and I do know for a fact that if Shadow of the Erdtree does win, then a lot of people are going to be very upset, and rightfully so. Also, I do need to mention before I move on with the topic that Astrobot is a PlayStation exclusive, and it is like so exclusive to PlayStation that the game is PlayStation, right? And what I mean by that is it's the whole entire story is you're a little robot, and the ship that you're on in space is shaped like a PlayStation, and you crash, and then you find yourself in this world where there's a lot of PlayStation references. So the game literally is PlayStation. And I think Xbox is better than PlayStation, especially because Sony is just a weird company. And speaking of Sony and Elden Ring, Sony is currently trying to buy From Software. Yeah, that's not good. FromSoft is my personal favorite game development team, and to see them under the hands of Sony, and don't forget, I did make a video about how Sony made a Concord, the game's name, Who We Shall Not Speak, like the Voldemort of games. The $250 million game failure that was Concord. Sony made that, and we've seen a larger company purchase out a different smaller company that's made great games in the past. Think Destiny, right? When Bungie was separated from, I think it was 343 Studios, they really fell off the deep end. Or was it Halo that fell off the deep end? I can't quite remember. But one of the two, Bungie separated from 343 or vice versa, and either Destiny or Halo really fell off the deep end. I think both Destiny and Halo are in terrible places right now. Halo 5, trash. Not Halo 5, excuse me. Halo Infinite, trash. Halo 5 was also trash. Halo 5 I think was worse. Actually, no, I take that back. Halo 5 was a little bit better. But Destiny 2, also trash. I see so many ads about like, oh, Destiny 2, Act 2 Revenant is out, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not going to come back. I've had a great 6 to 7 months of my past life where I haven't been playing any Destiny, and it's been some of the greatest months of my life. That's actually a lie, but regardless, I'm not going to go back to Destiny 2, but we're getting off track. So all in all, I do think Black Myth Wukong has this one in the bag. I think it is by far the most deserving game on the nominees list for Game of the Year 2024. I think that if any other game wins, I think if any game wins, people are going to be pissed because that's just human nature. But I think if Shadow of the Erdtree wins, a lot of people are going to be mad. I think if Astrobot wins, a lot of people are going to be mad. I think if Balatro wins, a lot of people are going to be mad. But a lot of people are also going to be happy because they think that, you know, this is like revolutionary. It is what it is. But you guys know who I'm rooting for, and stay safe.